Have you ever gone through a situation that you've put all the care, dedication, and love for something, waiting for a response of gratitude, but it has received some laughter or jeering in the back? Maybe you've prepared a meal for that special someone that you love them, believing that one gesture of care that would warm the heart of anyone who receives it. But, on the contrary, of a recognition of, and they came to, were the comments crudely disguised as a joke or with a chuckle out of the press conference, it seemed to erase all the stress. In this experiment, the more common you appear, it carries within it a pain to recognize that some people prefer not to talk about it, but it reveals something far more profound. And what does it mean when a gesture of affection, it is to be ignored or laughed at? How do we feel our contribution to our history, or our presence is devalued? It is not for words to express, but for the subtle signs and actions, which seem to be harmless. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out right now might surprise you, and you open your eyes to the reality that, often, it is hidden right in front of our eyes. Imagine an elderly woman who devoted her life to taking care of the family, who has always tried to make the best of it, with a special recipe made with so much love. She prepares herself for a dinner, anxious to share that moment of unity, hope, and hope. Their hope is that, at least in that day, that it shall be recognized, embraced, appreciated for their efforts. But, when you present your side dish, it is met with laughter, and remarks that they seem innocent, but they carry a weight that is visible. Phrases such as, "It is not the food of the feast," or, "This isn't nothing special," echoed in the room, and at that moment she could feel a tightness in my heart. It's as if their effort was nixed, as if his presence were to be ruled by a joke or a comment that is, in fact, it is a prejudice is shown. This is a rejection, disguised as a joke. It's not just about the food, or is a response to the moment. This is a message to the silent. This is a way to devalue someone else for their origin, their history, their color, or condition. And in that moment, she realizes that there is something more behind the gesture, something that goes above and beyond that which can be seen at a first glance. It is something that shows the reality is more complex, often ignored in daily routine. And in that moment of reflection, it is clear that these small actions can carry a heavy burden and often invisible to the eyes of those who commit them. It is as if, behind the smile or in the comments, escondésemos a story of insecurity, the strong taboos or fears that you haven't been able to deal with. And it is precisely this understanding that leads us to realize that, rather than to react with judgment or resistance, you can choose from in the way of empathy and respect. Each and every one of us has a responsibility to turn these moments into opportunities to connect, true dialogue, and learning. If this topic makes no sense to you, leave it here in the comments on what you played or any of the experience you have already lived through this. Your participation is very important to strengthen the network of exchange and understanding. In addition, even if you believe that content that can help people think about these issues, and share with anyone who you think needs to hear this message. Enjoy video. It is also a way to enhance this effort and encourage the continuation of the topics that promote reflection and transformation. And of course, if you want to keep getting this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel so that together we can create a community that is more aware, accepting, and be prepared to change your way of looking at the world around us. Your presence here makes a difference, and that the best is yet to come. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the real transformation begins, just the way we see our own decisions. Many times when we are so stuck in a routine, automatic responses that we have forgotten the power that we have to choose a different one. Life is a string of choices, which shape our history, our emotions, and even our view of the world. When we begin to understand this connection, it all gets a whole new dimension. It is not just about the act or react, but rather to take responsibility for our own decisions, even if they seem small and insignificant at first glance. Imagine for a moment that the number of opportunities that we let go of fear, self-doubt, or simply because we do not believe that we can make a change. These opportunities are often out there in our daily routine, hidden behind a layer of auto-sabotage or a mindset that keep us in the comfort zone. And here comes a revelation of the powerful. The change doesn't happen from one time to another. It is constructed in step by step, with each one made a conscious decision that we make. Each of the opening of a new book to learn a different kind of challenge to a belief in limited is a foundation stone in the construction of this new day. When we think about the impact of our decisions, we can begin to see the influence that external factors have on us. In the society, the culture, the stories that were told from a young age, all of that is going to mold him inside, and that it often prevents us from seeing beyond what we have been taught. It is at this point that the truth is hidden. It reveals that we are to be influenced, but you have the power to choose what to take, what to accept, and what to reject. This freedom of choice, it's a great tool for anyone who wants to improve, because it gives us a chance to rewrite our history, to break down old beliefs, and create new patterns of behavior. For this reason, it is crucial to develop a growth mindset. It means to look at the challenges as opportunities to learn and to understand that failure is part of the process, and that every time she brings a valuable lesson. This change in perspective is an important step in your journey of self-discovery, because it allows us to understand the transformation is not something that comes out of it, but it's something that is born within us from the time we decided to do things differently. It is as if the decision were to be like a seed planted in the fertile soil of our soul, which, over time, gives us the fruit of self-reliance, resilience, and emotional release. Another important point in this journey is to realize that a lot of the limitations that are created by the stories we tell ourselves. These stories may be from the helplessness, the fear, the helplessness. But the truth is that we can rewrite it at any time by replacing can't for an I'm going to try or I'm going to learn. This change in the narrative, it is one of the most powerful tools for a real transformation. When we begin to question these stories, we've stepped out of patterns that kept them tied to the past, and we made room for a new version of ourselves, the stronger, more aware, and more in tune with our values. And it is at this point that the day-to-day makes it all the more engaging because of each and every step to self-knowledge, and it reveals new layers of who they really are. We find that the impact of the choices we make are not just limited to the US, but that reverberates in the lives of those around us. Making a simple decision to be more polite, to listen to someone's attention, to express the gratitude of all this, it has a ripple effect that influences the environment in which we live. And to understand this connection, we begin to understand that our personal evolution, as it is also a way to positively impact the world, and to build a chain of processing that begins within each and every one of us. Now, I want you to go deep into this subject. It is because of this awareness that we all have the power to decide is what truly sets us free. As we come to understand that every moment is an opportunity to do something different, we begin to see life with new eyes. And in this new vision, everything becomes an opportunity for growth, learning, and connection to a larger truth, that we are, above all, the creators of our own reality. It's liberating, and at the same time, it's challenging, because it requires the courage to abandon the old certainties and to embrace the unknown with hope and determination. And then suddenly, we realize that our story is not written in stone. We can rewrite it as many times as you need to, and always with the intention to be better versions of ourselves. This is a journey of self-discovery, transformation, and decision-making of consciousness is what really makes a difference in the lives of those looking for a change. With each step taken in this sense, it is a seed of hope and an opportunity to have an impact not only in our inner world, but also of the lives that cross our path. And so, little by little, we're going to building up a story of courage, authenticity, and have a positive impact, which is reflected not only in our own history and evolution. He writes in, I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth hidden behind this transformation. Many of the times, it's just the way that we see ourselves making decisions. Have you ever realized how many times, with a choice of a seemingly simple, it can set off a chain of events that entirely change the course of our lives? This is one of the biggest revelations that only a few have the courage to accept the power of change. That is, for the most part of the time, and in our ability to make decisions, to choose from, with awareness, you can connect with what really matters to you. And in the process, we discovered that our daily actions are the seed which, when planted, they have the potential to bear fruit. Awesome for personal growth. The journey of transformation is, in fact, becomes a sort of a wake-up built-in, a change of mindset that causes us to look beyond what your eyes can capture. It is at this point that the hidden truths come to light, because we see that our reality is often a direct result of our own personal beliefs and patterns of behavior. And here comes a crucial point, namely, the courage to question everything we have been taught to break down limiting beliefs, which, for many years, we have kept you from moving forward. It's a kind of revelation that may sound simple, but in practice, it requires a force that is a huge commitment and self-awareness, because, let's face it, the deepest in our heart. When you immerse yourself in a universe of self-awareness, we can begin to understand what the real impact starts from the inside out. It doesn't help to change the world. In-house, we still have insecurities, fears, or doubts. The change is genuine. It comes from an inner transformation, a paradigm shift in what we do, and understand that you are responsible for what we experience. This finding, in itself, is already a revolution, because it gives us the ability to rewrite history, to choose a new path, to create a narrative that is based on authenticity and purpose. And at the same time, their journey reveals to us what it seemed to be an insurmountable obstacle. In fact, it is an opportunity in disguise of a challenge. In the process of transformation, we also realize the impact that we want to generate. It's not something that happens overnight. It is a construction that is constant in a series of small decisions that add up to create a change of power, with each step taken with intention, each made up of authenticity, and reinforces that mindset that we're growing. And it is precisely at this point that the revelations become more and more clear. A lot of times, what is stopping us from moving forward is our own resistance to the new, the unknown. It's as if it's a part of us wanted to stay in your comfort zone, even though I know that it doesn't get us to where we really want to get to. So the real challenge is to get out of this area, the same fear, the same questions, because that's where all the magic happens. The connection to the impact that we want to create, it also reveals an important point, the importance of aligning our actions with our deepest values. When we were able to make it it looks lighter in weight, more real. It is as if we are living in a kind of a mission, something bigger than ourselves. And in that moment, on our journey of evolution, which becomes a kind of a legacy and an impact that extends not only inside, but also outside, touching lives and inspiring change. And this is, in fact, the one that gives meaning to all of this, the quest for self-knowledge and growth, a fuller life and consciousness. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the connection between our internal decision-making and the impact of external. It is something that a lot of people don't even know how to perceive it clearly. It is a kind of cause and effect is invisible. It is often not revealed to you at the right time, when we look back and understand how each choice is critical to our development. So, throughout this journey of transformation, which seems complex at first glance, is in fact a sequence of small actions that, when they are aligned with the heart, and the fact that we have to create a force that's strong, a force that can transform not only ourselves but also to the reality around us, is because deep down, there's nothing more powerful than a person who has decided that, in fact, live in your truth and a positive impact on the world. And if you think about all of this, it becomes clear that the real impact comes from a conscious decision to do something different, to break the cycle of the routine in the limited open space for innovation, for creativity, for those who really want to make a difference. This is a journey of discovery and the constant of the stunning revelations that challenge us to look beyond the obvious, to look for opportunities where we could only see the obstacles. And so, each and every step of this journey is an opportunity to strengthen our way of thinking and to reinforce that you are the principal authors of our time in history. That is, to take on that role, we were able to open the door to a transformation that goes beyond the individual and reaches out to the group. And it is at this point that the impact is multiplied, creating a chain of change that extends far beyond what we could ever imagine. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that we begin to understand just how our everyday decisions shape not only our career, but also with the environment around us. When we understand that for each choice, as small as it may seem, it bears a significant part of our evolution, we begin to see life in a different light. It is not expected that all the changes that occur by chance are external factors that determine our success or failure. The real transformation comes from the understanding that we have the power to create our reality and to make informed decisions that will guide our steps in the direction you want to go. This understanding tends to be a game changer, as it reveals the truth hidden behind the actions of many, that real change requires an active attitude, a mindset of the main character, and not as a spectator. It is at this point that a journey of self-discovery, it becomes a very powerful tool, because it is only when you truly know it is possible to identify the patterns, limiting beliefs, or fears that are preventing you from advancing. And most important of all, you need to take responsibility for those parts, for they are often the result of a story that we've learned along the life, sometimes without even realizing that you are carrying a burden that doesn't belong to us anymore. To deepen this discussion, we see that the transformation is not a one-off event, but a series of small decisions that add up to create a powerful impact. It is as if we were building a bridge, a brick by brick, to cross the river, which seemed to be insurmountable. Every action that is positive, each of the change of mind, every decision that is aligned with our core values, it's a firm step in the direction of one's life more full and authentic. And the place becomes more and more strong, to the extent that we realize that we are not alone in this journey. There are others who have gone through this awakening, which is found in the power of reinventing itself, and you saw the vulnerability as a source of power. The truth is hidden, you just see it as that, too often, we are caught up in a kind of a comfort zone, which feeds off the fear of taking risks. And it's just the fear of failing that keeps us from taking the next step, to explore new possibilities and to challenge what we believe to be our limit. But when we are able to break the cycle, we opened up the space for a new narrative, a story of courage, perseverance, and hope. It is at this point that the real transformation begins to happen, because it does not depend upon an external factor, but it's our decision to rewrite our own history. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that this is a journey of change, it also reveals a behind the scenes of what really goes on behind our actions. Many times we are so focused on the end result that we forget to appreciate the process, and that's where the biggest revelations take place. It is in the day-to-day routine and what our beliefs are being tested, and that our borders are being challenged, and that it is our inner power and strength that is revealed to you. It is against this backdrop that the real magic happens. When you learn to see each obstacle as an opportunity for growth, we will be able to transform difficulties into valuable lessons. And in doing so, we came to understand that life is a constant opportunity to learn where each and every step takes us closer to the most authentic selves. From this understanding, we see that the transformation is not something that happens to us at one time or another, but it's an ongoing process, a journey that requires dedication, patience, and above all, a mindset for growth. Every day is a new chance to make the choices that strengthen our authenticity, and that will take us closer to our purpose. And at the same time, the journey connects us with others who are also looking for their own development. By building a network of positive influences that feed into the school to change. In it, the impact is multiplied. Because of the transformation of the individual, it becomes a collective force that is able to generate far-reaching changes in society as a whole. As I reflect back on all of this, it is clear that the secret lies in the courage to look inward in order to challenge what we believe to be the truth, and the courage to take the reins of their own story. This is the essence of true transformation, the journey to self-discovery and conscious, and a mindset that values the company's continuous growth. When you understand it, it becomes more and more clear and more accessible, because they realize that there's no limit to what we can accomplish when we are aligned with our essence and the willingness to continue to evolve. And in the end, all of this brings us to a fundamental question. What is our next move? What steps are you willing to take to make this new way of understanding? After all, it is the transformation that is not a road, but a path. A road, it is built day by day, with a spirit of courage, resilience, and an unwavering faith in our capacity to do something different, to be better, and to positively impact everything around you. And it is at this point that the journey actually makes sense, because every decision is an opportunity to put into practice what we believe to be possible. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that a lot of people are starting to realize that it's the true transformation is not just in the big, but the consistency of the small choices we make throughout the day. Life, at its core, is built up of the details, and it's in these details that the real impact of the case. We understand that each and every decision, however small it may seem, carries a burden of meaning. We can begin to see the power we have to create our own reality. Many of the times we are looking for a dramatic change, for the event that you go to take all at once, but in fact, that change starts in the mind, in the way we think about situations in everyday life. That's what he thought, that the real transformation is a journey, not a destination. When you start to see that in our everyday actions shape who we are, in fact, everything is very clear. It is as if each were a part of the puzzle to fit together to reveal a new image of ourselves. This new image, it is not something that comes out of the day to the night, but it's a solid construction, made up of small victories, and conscientious, and a genuine desire to improve. And many times that it is a kind of installation, a deconstruction of the limiting beliefs that prevent us from moving forward. With this in mind, it is important to understand the impact of decisions that go far beyond what we could ever imagine. They will reverberate in our self-esteem and our self-confidence, in the way in which we relate to the world and to our ability to inspire others. When we begin to act in accordance with our deepest values, we create a kind of ripple effect that influences the people around you. And at this point, I'm beginning to understand that change is not only an individual matter, but a real revolution in the quiet. You can transform not only our history, but also the lives of those around us. For this reason, it is important that we be mindful of our decisions, even the most simple to do. Each and every one of them has the potential to open doors to opportunities you might not even know it exists. And at the same time, you need to learn how to deal with the hardships and all the obstacles that appear along the way, because that they too are a part of the process of growing up. They challenge us to keep our faith in our ability to overcome it, learn from your mistakes, and move forward with more wisdom. After all, there is not a day of progress without moments of doubt, to or for the crisis, but it is precisely in these moments that our inner power and strength is tested and strengthened. And this is where the reflection is important. A lot of the times, we believe that the success and the achievement of a dream that depends on external factors, such as for fate or the circumstances are favorable. But it is the truth that is hidden, that is, few realize, is that it all begins within ourselves. To our way of thinking and our willingness to learn, to reinvent themselves, and to continue, you are the true catalysts for every achievement. When one internalizes it, goes to work with more intention and responsibility, knowing that we are all responsible for what happens in our lives. This awareness gives us an immense power, the freedom to choose our own ways, our attitudes, and especially our vision of the world. At the same time, on this journey of transformation is about having the courage to face the truth, face your fears, and let go of old patterns that no longer serve you more. Because quite often, the biggest obstacle that we find ourselves, our comfort zone, all of our doubts and insecurities, they may seem oversized, but in fact, it is just a shadow to disappear when we decided to take the first step. And that, no matter how small, is a victory. This is the proof that we are willing to challenge the status quo and to seek a better version of ourselves. In the process, it's critical that the people to have clarity about what really matters to you. Too often, we allow ourselves to be carried away by distractions by others, opinions or expectations that do not reflect who we are in fact. And so, we end up getting lost in the middle of the road, oblivious to the greater purpose is what drives us. When we align our actions with our values, the more real it all starts to make sense, in a way that's more in-depth. The feeling of being in control of their own lives is increasing, and the motivation to continue to grow, it becomes harder and harder. It is this harmony that we find strength to face the challenges, knowing that with each step brings us closer to our inner selves. And in this connection, connection, it is our purpose to really make a difference in your journey. Because when you understand that our decisions can have an impact, we can begin to think beyond the short-term perspective. We went to see the bigger picture, to understand the opportunities for growth are hidden in the difficulties, and to enhance the learning experience has been accomplished. It's as if when you open your eyes to this truth is hidden, you have to live with more purpose, with the intent and the motivation that comes from within. And, in this movement, we are the protagonists of our own history, and have been able to create a reality that reflects who we truly are and who we can become. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is when the wake-up call that many people are beginning to realize that the transformation is, that both are seeking, is not a silver bullet or a change in the surface, but a deeper understanding of each other." It's as if, suddenly, all the pieces from the jigsaw begin to fit together to reveal a larger image, more clear, more real. And with this revelation, it is often accompanied by a mix of surprise and excitement, because you finally understand that the power to shape our reality, that is, above all, our ability to make decisions. You decide who you are going to be, what we value, what are the actions we take. From the moment in which we come to recognize the truth hidden, you have always been there, hidden away under a layer of limiting beliefs and different social conditions. When we look beyond the surface, we find that many of these beliefs have been put in a society that often values the outer longer than the inner, and the life was the most that the true purpose of life. It is at this point in our journey of self-discovery becomes a real revolution in the house. We find that the transformation is not something that comes from the outside to the inside, but from the inside to the outside. And that, for us to change our way of thinking and to adjust our view of the world, everything around you start to change the way, the natural and organic way. This change in perspective, it is like a key that unlocks a door to a world of opportunities, where our authenticity, it is the most powerful force that we can use. And then, when you enter in the realm of possibilities, we can begin to understand that our everyday decisions, however small it may seem, it carries a heavy burden on the building's impact. Each and every choice we make is a piece that has contributed to our history, whether it be success, failure, and learning. And the big revelation here is that we are able to rewrite this story, as at any time, as long as you have the courage to take the responsibility for it. This is a responsibility that is not very heavy, but it's liberating. It has the power to transform, which is not in line with who we really are, to leave behind all the masks that we wear it for fear of showing who we are to the truth. When you look at behind the scenes of this journey, we realize that the biggest battle is often the case in our own minds. There, inside of us, we are of the conflict, the questions, the flaws of thought we pulled to the back. But at the same time, there is also an invisible force that drives us forward, and a desire to evolve, to grow beyond the limitations of self-imposed. This internal movement is like a dance-off between the old and the new, between fear and courage. And at the same time, it is a great opportunity to discover our true motives of those who actually move, and that can positively impact not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. On the face of it, everything. It's impossible not to notice that the true transformation requires a journey of self-discovery that continues. There are no shortcuts, nor a built-in formulas that you can replace the experience of facing your own shadow, and to learn to embrace every aspect of yourself with love and compassion. This is a journey that is made up of the signs in detail, for the small wins every day in, and the times that we've decided to, in fact, change our story. And in doing so, we become the agents of change not only in our history, but also the history of those around us. Because deep down, it all starts in our mind, our will, to see the truth and to act in accordance with it, even when your path seemed like a challenging one. And it is precisely at this point that many people miss, because it is the truth. The hidden is about having the courage to be seen. It turns out that life is not a series of random events, but rather a direct result of our decision-making more accounts. The more connected you are with this fact, the easier it is to align our thoughts, emotions, and actions are what really matters to you. And, in the process, we find that the impact that we have on the world, starting within ourselves, in our ability to be authentic, to be true to our inner selves, and to act with integrity. Such a deep emotional connection with, the truth is that you give us the strength to move forward even when the path seems uncertain and full of obstacles. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because when you think about all of this, we realize that the real transformation involves a paradigm shift, a revolution in our way of thinking that allows us to see beyond what the eyes can pick up. This is a change of paradigm. It is like a magnifying glass that reveals hidden truths behind the surface, leading us to question all the things that seem to go without saying. In this process, we are faced with the stunning revelations about who we are, about what we really want to do, and the impact we can make to live a more conscious and aligned with our essence. And at the same time, it has made us realize that it's the way to personal achievement. It is not a straight line, but it's a journey of continuous learning, where each step leads us to understand more fully the real meaning of our existence. When entering one of these behind the scenes to internal, we find find that the change does not happen from one minute to the next, but it is built day by day, decision by decision. Every little action and self-care, each and every time for reflection, and for each choice of action intended, all of this feeds into the transformation. And, at the same time, we are confronted with a truth that hides many to shun, that many, many times we are our own obstacles in their way. What are the limitations of the toughest in our mind, and the stories we tell ourselves, and the fears that feed it? And in order to move forward, we have to have the courage to still greater than we can imagine, and a courage to face these shadows in-house and to embrace the process of change, love, and patience. Because, at the end of the day, this day is an opportunity for us to rediscover and reinvent ourselves each and every day, transforming limitations into strength and our doubts into the conscious decisions that are shaping a new future. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation does not occur only at the surface level. It reveals itself in the little daily decisions, the way we choose to interpret our challenges, and the guts to stand up to what they prefer to hide in. When we begin to explore our shadows, built in, we found out that they are carrying a cargo of experiences, fears, and limiting beliefs that often they hide behind a facade of strength or of a sense of security. And it is precisely at this point that everything is more intense, more real. It's as if we're opening the door for a long time it remained locked away, revealing a world of emotions, concerns, and opportunities that we never imagined to be possible to have access to. When faced with these emotions, pent up, the natural temptation is to run away, avoid, or deny it. But the difference is that you should not give in to those forces, and to take the brave step to embrace what comes up. The acceptance, by the way, is one of the most powerful tools in the process of self-discovery. It's not about to give up for their own shortcomings, but to see that they are all part of the learning process. They are the fuel for change. When you stop to think about it, we realized that a lot of our decision-making, the more the seemingly small, have a greater impact than we can imagine in our journey of evolution. Each of you choose to act honestly, to forgive, to set boundaries. They are the drops of the transformation, which over time accumulate, forming a tidal wave of change that brings you a new version of ourselves. And in this way, it's our mindset plays a very important role, because sometimes carry out a distorted view of who we are, our potential, and what you really deserve it. This shift in perspective is an important step to open up the space for new opportunities. It's as if you were adjusting the focus of our lens on the inside, leaving a view of life through the point of view of the scarcity and fear, and to see opportunities for growth, connection, and fulfillment. This is a change of mentality is not something that happens overnight. It requires consistency, patience, and, above all, a willingness to reinvent itself, even in the face of adversity. The impact of this change is also reflected in the behind the scenes of the mind, where many of the old beliefs still insist to resonate, thereby creating a sort of quiet strength. That's what the power of self-awareness and self-observation. When you begin to pay attention to our own personal stories, to the reasons they give for not moving forward, we realize that a lot of these are just the stories that are created by the mind that is still holding on to the past. Free yourself from these shackles is a process of freedom. It is about having the courage to question all the things that we've been taught that we have limited, or that it just doesn't make sense in the present. At the same time, it is important to recognize that this journey is not a straight line. It's made up of highs and lows, discoveries, and moments of doubt. And that's okay, because that is the essence of growth, is to learn to accept each step, to enhance the courage to continue even when the path seems unclear. With each step taken in the direction of itself is a victory to be silent, a revelation. It strengthens our self-confidence. And then, as we advanced, we began to realize that the most important decisions are those that are made with an open heart and clarity of mind, capable of turning every obstacle into an opportunity to learn. When you look at it from that perspective, more comprehensive, and we believe that's true, strength is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it head-on, with love and determination. And every little movement of change, and each made a conscious decision, it's like a seed planted in the fertile ground of the interior, who would one day blossom into a whole new reality. It is at this point that we realize that the impact of the journey goes much further than ourselves. It impacts the universe around us, creating a string of chances they will not become visible when you have the courage to take the next step. And so we went, each time more in line with the truth that is hidden, ready to find out what we are capable of achieving when we allow ourselves to be whole, authentic, and free to turn to our own stories to tell. And at this point of the journey, with the hope of real change begins to take shape, supported by a more in-depth understanding of all that we look out, we've already lies at the heart of our soul. You just have to have the courage to look inward, to explore every layer of our soul, and decide that, from now on, our actions will be guided by the truth that was always there, hidden beneath the dust of time. The fact that, once you have found out, you have the power to revolutionize our lives, bringing to the fore a new version of who you are and all that we can be. And that's when the journey really gets back to, when we realize that the greatest transformation happens from the inside to the outside, and what is the impact of the change and echo throughout our history, while leaving a lasting impression of courage, self-love, and authenticity. Let Let this reflection to ring in his mind. As long as you think about the upcoming decisions that will be taken in the knowledge that the path of transformation, it is made up of small to big steps, so that, together, build a life that's more real and more full. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't happen by accident. It is the result of a journey to a silent, almost invisible. It is often overlooked in the hectic routine. It is in this gap between who we are and who we want to be the most important decisions that you show. And they are not grand gestures or sweeping changes that shape the bridge, but the details are the small steps that, together, we create a stream from the impact in the long run. Every choice, every thought, every action that you make in the course of the day, it has a knock-on effect on our minds and in our reality. This is the true occult that you just perceive, for the processing of genuine comes to life through a daily commitment, a dedication of the other even. In essence, many of the times, we look for quick fixes, magic formulas that promise instant results, just as if it were possible to bring about change with no experience moments of discomfort or a deep thought. But the truth is that with the growth of the real is about having the courage to face up to their own limitations, to the question of what that looks like, unchanging, and above all, to accept the fact that the process of change that is made up of ups and downs. To this day, sometimes it feels lonely. It is in fact one of the experiences that most people can live with. It's right there, in the midst of the chaos, doubt, and fear, and we find the seeds of our greatest strength. Over the course of the journey, it is common to come across the internal resistance, the little voice that urges us to keep you in your comfort zone, holding on tight, the roots of one's identity, which cannot be used anymore. That it is a clear sign that you're on the right track, because that's all that really worth the effort and challenge our limiting beliefs, triggers the courage and the strength to get out of this place. It's like a proof of concept that shows how much you are willing to invest in your own transformation. And, in order for this journey to be meaningful, it is necessary to learn how to listen to the silence you say, to acknowledge the small wins every day and the value of what is most authentic in all of us. Change your mindset, and in this sense, it is an alchemy of quiet, a transformation that takes place first in the mind, before you want to reflect on the practice. Each and every negative thought that we could turn this into a learning opportunity, each and every question that we have made a motivation to move forward, there are simple steps that strengthen the foundations of a new version of ourselves. And it is this change in its internal structure, generates an external effect, which manifests itself in the form of a decision in a row, relationships, the more healthy, and of a vision of the world that is more aware of it. It is a chain of small actions that, when done with intention, it has the potential to create a real revolution in the countryside. For this reason, it is crucial to understand that the transformation is not a straight line, not a task to be completed in one day. It is a cycle of constant self-awareness, adjustment, and held prisoners. And then, when we allow ourselves to experience this process with patience and kindness, we are going to discover the layers of ourselves that before were hidden from view, showing a strength in you that you may not know how to possess. In this quest, although challenging, is the experience and knowledge that we can live as a human being, because it connects us with our inner selves more fully, and prepares you to face any storm with the wisdom and resilience. Now, considering all this, it is clear that the impact of our way of thinking and goes far beyond what we could ever imagine. Every decision that we make, it is like a seed that, with time, it will grow and bear fruit in our lives. And if you want to achieve a profound transformation, you need to be aware of the choices we make within, too, and our emotions, and to really believe it's possible. After all, the change begins from the inside to the outside, and it is here, in this space, and subtle, and it all starts and builds, and building a strong foundation for our constantly evolving. He comments that, it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation, is not something that just happens by chance or by force alone. It is based on a deep understanding of our own roots, and the beliefs that we have and the stories we tell ourselves, of course. Many of the times we are so attached to our own limitations, they have forgotten who they are, for the most part, the buildings of mind, a reflection of an internal narrative that was being formed in the course of time. It is influenced by the past experiences, opinions of others, and even through moments of vulnerability, which, if not well maintained, they become invisible barriers to our progress. When you look at these behind the scenes to internal, we realize that a big part of what keeps us from moving forward is not related to our way of thinking and the decisions that we make unconsciously. These decisions are often based on fear or doubt. It is a kind of protection system. That is, the brain has developed in order to avoid any risk, but end up keeping you stuck in your comfort zone. The question is it, to take it one step further, we need to be willing and able to challenge the decisions automated and the question of whether they truly reflect the truth or if they are just a reflection of a long-standing pattern that has been repeating itself without notice. This is a journey of transformation requires a keen eye to our own emotions, because they can be used as a roadmap that shows you what really matters to us. When we are able to identify what what they feel when thinking about a big decision, you're accessing a deeper truth about our own needs and desires. Many of the times, the anxiety, the fear, or even hope that you felt in those moments that show what we want to avoid or what we aspire to achieve. And here comes the importance of the development of a new mindset, one that is more self-aware, which enables us to make choices that are aligned with what you truly believe is possible, rather than acting on impulse or by the conditions. As a result, it is crucial to understand that this is not the case at one time or another. It is a process of self-knowledge continuum. Every step, every decision that is conscious of, it's like a seed that, if cultivated with patience, as it will strengthen our homeland. And the more we build on this base, the more easily we all have to deal with the ups and downs of life, the face of obstacles, with a stance that is more resilient and more in keeping with the focus on what really matters to you. It is a movement of reflection, in connection with which there is a genuine within each of us that allows us to not only achieve results, but also a real peace of mind. To explore this universe is built, we began to realize that many of our limitations are, in fact, the illusions were created by Him, which we think is the truth. And then, when you break down those dreams and open up the space for new possibilities, for reality is more in line with our dreams, with the most profound. This is a journey of self-transformation that is, above all, a revolution is built, and a change in mindset that echoes in every aspect of our lives. And the more we go deeper in the understanding, the more we realize that the impact of our choices, however small they may seem, can change our destiny in ways you never imagined. For this reason, it is crucial that we are mindful of our own stories, asking about each of the narrative, which can limit or prevent us from moving forward. After all, what's behind these? Read more. What hidden truths are failing to understand? This is the key to unlocking a new stage of evolution, where the freedom to choose, create, and in turn, it becomes a daily practice. A practice that is conscious of the fact that it feeds on our journey of continued growth. And in doing so, we are the protagonists of our own history, and are able to rewrite the narrative, which seemed to be written by external forces, are now under one command, with authenticity and courage. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've come this far, it's because they are really interested in changing your way of looking at things, and to take control of your career." This is a journey of self-discovery, and a change is made to the step-by-step, and each of the insights that we have shared here helps to strengthen the foot. So if you feel that this content has brought a lot of value, you take the opportunity if you subscribe to the channel so you stay up to date with everything that's going on here, always with the same issues you are seeking help to grow in a way that was light and natural. And if you get this message resonated with you, leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end," or something to show you that the message made no sense. It's always good to know that we are on the same page, right? In addition to this, he's like you're in the video. It helps create a connection to a still greater, showing that it is the content that really makes a difference in your daily routine. In the end, I want to invite you to continue with me on the next leg of the journey. There's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject matter, and it can help you even more in depth what we'll talk. Click there, and still am there. I am sure you will like the following by exploring these issues. After all, it is this journey of self-discovery that is made in a step-by-step, and I'm here today to share with each and every one of them with you.